Ash, what was the nature of the treatment you had? What was it for?
Oh, I think I've just gotten to know my body well enough now to know when I need a little bit of help, and it was more just for a bit of reassurance and support, but I knew it wouldn't affect me on court, so it was more just for reinsurance.
Ash, I think Jim was in the box room. It's pretty rare for a childhood coach to get a run these days. What can you tell us about him and what he's done for you over the years?
Oh, Jim's been a massive part of my tennis throughout my whole career, and whenever he's able to come to tournaments, he comes along, and he's come to Wimbledon before, but certainly the Australian Open's an easy tournament for him to get to, where he can fly down and come and enjoy it, because he's been an absolutely integral part of my tennis. He's taught me everything that I know, and even now he can read me like a book out on the court. He can predict what's going to happen more times than not, and he knows exactly what's going on.
Obviously, Wozniacki or Sharapova next. I imagine you want to step up your game for that.
Yeah, it's another opportunity for me to go out there and test myself against the world's best. I know they play later this afternoon, so I'll be home, and if it does happen to be raining and the cricket's not on, I'll flick it over to that. But no, look, it's another opportunity. Whoever wins that match, obviously they're both quality champions, so it's just an opportunity for me to go and test myself against the best.
What confidence do you take from your big wins last week in Sydney?
I think more than anything, it's just the perfect preparation. There's nothing else can get you ready for matches than matches. So, it was a perfect preparation through Perth and Sydney, and now I come here feeling great. I feel like I've got the matches and the tennis under my belt, so now it's about going out and executing on the day against my opponent.
Yeah, look, Ash, I don't want to detract from your efforts and the efforts of the other Australian women, but I did want to ask you about the spat in Australian men's tennis and just get your comments on what's happening at regarding the Davis Cup and the other men involved.
Oh, I mean, I have no knowledge of what's happening. I have our Fed Cup team and my team. We focus on what we need to, but I can't comment because I have no knowledge of it.
Are you concerned that a lot of the focus around Australian tennis this week has been on a spat between the Australian Davis Cup captain and the men, rather than the women who are performing very well?
Oh, I think there are men and women performing well, and I think there are a million stories going around Grand Slam time, because there are so many players, there are so many matches, there are so many amazing stories. But from my point of view, it's been a super positive week for the players involved. In particular, Kimbo, who has a third round tonight. It's the first time for her. So, I mean, in my eyes, we've had focus on my tennis, focus on all of the other good stories that are going around, and I have no knowledge of what's going on with the Davis Cup, so I can't comment.
Ash, you spoke earlier in the week about how the goal this year was deeper runs in slams, and I guess here particularly going from third round to the fourth round. Now you're in the fourth round. How are you feeling?
Yeah, obviously I feel great. You have to keep giving yourself the opportunity to do better and better, and you have to, just keep chipping away. It's all trusting in the process and the work that my team and myself has done in the pre-season and throughout the last 18 months, 2 years. Is we're continuing to chip away every single day and get better as a person and as a player every single day, and continue to develop my game. And I think it's getting to the point now where I'm feeling more and more comfortable on the court and can play my brand of tennis, which when I execute, I know it works against the best in the world.
I was talking to somebody yesterday just about the drama in Australian tennis, and they corrected me and said the drama in Australian men's tennis, because women are all doing fine. And I'm just curious, from a more positive point of view, what you think has made Australian women's tennis culture so successful in the time you've been in it, and a relatively smooth sailing as a group and as a interactions, as far as we can tell, with everybody in it.
Yeah, absolutely. We have an amazing group of girls. We really do, and I think there are a lot of girls on the fringe, kind of from 150 to 300 in the world, that haven't really dipped their toes in too many WTA events, and we're starting to see that now. And in the Australian summer, you obviously have more opportunities for Australian players to come out and play, but they have to make the most of it, and a lot of them certainly have, either through qualifying or Brisbane, Sydney, Hobart, all of these tournaments. They've kind of stepped up and played well, and they've always been capable. They've just needed the opportunity. So I think we have an extremely great group of girls who work hard, who do all the right things, and now the results are starting to come.
There seems to be sort of a division in Australian tennis between sometimes players, media or TA separating prospects into the good ones and the problematic ones. Do you sense that in general, and do you think that's fair?
Oh, again, it's not really something that I focus on or concern or can really concern myself with. Or I mean, I just put my head down and try and do what I need to do with my team, and then obviously we look at all the positives that come out of it. But for me, yeah, it's very much I don't spend a lot of time with the men's side because the tours are different. We probably only cross over and have a dozen tournaments cross over a year. But from my point of view, my team and what we're doing, we're all good.
I still ask you one thing about you and Jim when you were a kid. There's a story about you won so many trophies in the juniors that you started taking off the little steel plates and to poorer clubs around the place. You used to give them to them as for donations. Is that true?
Not poorer clubs, but to Jim's club, to West Brisbane Tennis Centre. A lot of my trophies are recycled, for their junior fixtures and things like that. All the ones that kind of didn't fit anymore, but Mum has a cabinet at home that she keeps them all in, and it was kind of a bit of a tradition every year that we gave a few to Jim and Robbie at West Brisbane Tennis Centre, and they filtered through to the fixtures with the young kids.
So how many did you have?
Oh, I have no idea. No, but I don't know. Yeah.
It's just back to the medical timeout. So you're saying it's just running repairs after a gruelling sort of workload the last couple of weeks, and nothing to be concerned about going forward?
Yeah, no, all good. Nothing to be concerned about. Just making sure that I'm in the best possible shape to play and go out there and do my best.
Back to the fourth round, perhaps you'll play Wozniacki. If Wozniacki will be your opponent, how do you think you'll play that match?
Yeah, I mean, for the moment, there's no time trying to think of what's ahead. I have to let that match play out. And obviously, both Wozniacki and Sharapova are exceptional competitors and players. And I'm sure that they'll have an amazing match. But for the time being, there's no point looking into the future. I have to wait and see how that result goes, and then I'll sit down with my team and my coach and try and work out a game plan for either player.
What do you think about Wozniacki's form in this moment?
I mean, she's number 2 or 3 in the world at the moment. She's playing amazing tennis. It's obviously had it's always hard to know when you've had the pre-season and time off, and she only played the one tournament, but she's playing well here this week and obviously loves the conditions here in Australia as defending champion and is on a roll here.